everyone, how things are going? I hope pretty good and you all are maintaining the decorum that is required for COVID-19. Okay, so now what today I'm going to do, I'm going to talk you about the best company that I've ever get and the thing that I really like, and that's books and books. Okay, so today I'm going to talk to you about three things. The first one is why to read books. सेकेंड बहुत लोग कहते हैं हम किताबें पढ़ना शुरू करते हैं बट देन वी जस्ट डिसकंटिन्यू इट, तो देन हाउ टू डेवलप दैट रीडिंग हैबिट. एंड थर्ड आई एम गोइंग टू टॉक यू दैट व्हाट टू रीड. Okay, so now without any further ado, let's start the video. And the very first is that why to read books. And seriously, I'm not going to give you that stereotypical answers from the net. I'm just going to share you my experience that why I started reading. Okay, the very first is that I started reading is that मेरे एक टीचर है, वो हमेशा कहते थे, मतलब अभी भी कहते हैं कि बेहतर जिंदगी का रास्ता बेहतर किताबों से होके गुजरता है. एंड कभी कभी ऐसे होता है ना कि हमने कोई लाइन कहीं पढ़ी है या कोई पर्टिकुलर लाइन कहीं सुनी है या फिर कोई मोमेंट है, तो वो कुछ ऐसा होता है कि आपको हमेशा याद रह जाता है. तो ये जो लाइन है ना कि बेहतर जिंदगी का रास्ता बेहतर किताबों से होकर गुजरता है, ये हमेशा मतलब मुझे अपने दिमाग में रहता ही है. एंड मैं बिल्कुल इस चीज़ को मानती हूँ. तो दिस इज द फर्स्ट रीजन. द सेकेंड इज दैट इफ यू सी अ कॉमन हैबिट इन मोस्ट ऑफ द इंटेलेक्चुअल पीपल, आई मीन फ्रॉम Bill Gates to Elon Musk to even SRK, I mean all these people, they read a lot of books. So reading books is a sign of intellectual capabilities. And the third and the last and the very important reason that why I read book is that मुझे याद नहीं है वो केबीसी का कौन सा सीजन था और वो कंटेस्टेंट का नेम क्या था, बट केबीसी का एक सीजन था, उसमें कंटेस्टेंट आए थे एंड वो जो होर्डिंग्स लगाने का काम होता है वो उनका काम था. आई मीन लाइक बहुत ही नॉर्मल पर्सन थे बट उन्हें बहुत ही नॉलेज था. एंड तो जब अमिताभ बच्चन उन्हें पूछते हैं कि आपको इतना नॉलेज कैसे, तो उन्होंने एक चीज़ कही थी. उन्होंने कहा था सपोज करो एक बीच में बुक रखी है, एक साइड मैं हूँ, एक साइड कोई पर्सन है जो पढ़ नहीं सकता. तो उन्होंने यही कहा था कि अगर मुझे पढ़ते आता है तो मुझे पढ़ना चाहिए, क्योंकि अगर मैं भी नहीं पढ़ूंगा तो उस पर्सन में और मुझ में कोई फ़र्क नहीं है. मतलब अगर आपको पढ़ते आता है तो आपको पढ़ना चाहिए. तो वो जो बात थी ना, इट जस्ट लाइक हिट मी हियर एंड इट इज लाइक ऑलवेज इन माई माइंड. Okay, so now see, this all or my reasons why I read, but I'm pretty much sure that when you will also start reading, I mean obviously it will gonna take your thought process to a next level, and instead of having just like one perspective about a thing, books will give you different perspectives to see the world. So start reading. Now the second question is that we start reading, हम पढ़ना शुरू करते हैं बट देन हम इंटरेस्ट नहीं डेवलप कर पाते हैं या फिर हम वो रीडिंग हैबिट को इनकलकेट कैसे करें. सो आई एम जस्ट हियर गिविंग यू फ्यू ऑफ द सजेशंस बाय व्हिच यू कैन इनकलकेट द रीडिंग हैबिट एंड देन हाउ टू सस्टेन it. Alright, so the number one suggestion that I'm giving you is consider loaf of the bread. Now what is this loaf of the bread? See, instead of like considering the whole food at once, just first consider loaf of the bread, first loaf, and then grab it and then go to the next. I mean, for instance, there is a book for 400 pages, and if you will see it as whole, you'll be like, oh, it's a damn big book, I won't be able to read it, and you will just keep it aside. Okay, and what it's going to do that it will diminishes your urge to read. So what you should do, that you should like just consider a part or chapter or portion of a book, first complete it, first grab it, then go to the second and go to the third. Okay, so this is the number one advice. Now the second advice that I'm going to give you, and that's very important, and that is step by steps towards the top of the ladder. For this, I'm just going to quickly share my experience that how I started reading. See, fortunately, my mom, she used to read a lot and a lot. So just because of her, I have this reading habit like since childhood. I used to read many stories and comics and a lot of newspapers, but just till my schooling. But after schooling, I started reading Times of India because, you know, like it's just not about economics and finance. There are masala, I mean, variety of news is there. So started reading Times of India. So initially what happened that I don't have that much of pace, like I don't have the reading speed. So it took me like around 2 hours if I would have like read the whole newspaper, the whole Times of India. And like being a student at that time, I can't devote like that much of time in reading newspaper. So what I used to do, I just read some few interesting columns, some front page, some of the headlines, and the Bollywood masala and all that. See, I just used to read that. Then gradually what happened that my speed, it reduced from like 2 hours to 1.5 hour, and then 1 hour, and like so on. So from there I started reading. Then I started reading short stories. Then I started reading novellas. Now what is novellas? See, novellas are like short novels. I mean the novels that are of 100 to 150 pages, and after 150 it's a novel. So I started first reading like novellas and then novel. So the basic suggestion that I'm going to give you is that reading requires like a lot and a lot of patience, and that you can just develop over a period of time. ठीक है, आप सोचो कि एक ही बार में आई विल जस्ट रीच ऑन टॉप ऑफ द लैडर एंड आई रीड अ बुक ऑफ 500 pages. So might be once you will do, but then you won't be able to survive there. तो इट्स वेरी नेसेसरी कि आप इसको धीरे धीरे डेवलप करें. अभी कुछ ही दिन पहले आई हैव ए फ्रेंड जो कि बहुत ही अच्छा लिखते हैं. हम लोग यही डिस्कस कर रहे थे कि when you ask anyone what do you like, they will say, oh, we love reading. But you know what, they won't be able to read a post of just 10 lines. So what is this hobby, or what is this like reading? No. So you have to develop it gradually and then increase your volume to reach at the top of the ladder. Okay. And now the third suggestion that I'm going to give you is that bid a bye to the non-connections. Now what does it mean? It means that it is totally fine, it is totally okay if you don't like a very famous and a very popular book that is loved by all, if you could not connect to it. Okay, like for example in my case, this book The Secret, I've heard a lot of about it, this app and movie and all that. So I was very excited and I bought 3 books, The Secret, The Magic and The Hero, and I started reading it. But you know, I tried very hard to connect to it, but I could not, because I felt that like it's quite imaginative and it goes round and round. So I know like people are like having many positive results from it, and I know most of the people just love this book, even my friends also. So I give all the books to them. But what I did, that I quit that book, because if I'll continue to read such books that I could not connect, then maybe that it will I lose my interest, you know, like in reading. That's why it's totally fine when you quit a book that may be liked by most of the people, क्योंकि ज़रूरी नहीं है जो सबको अच्छा लग रहा है वो आपको अच्छा लगे, और ये भी ज़रूरी नहीं है कि जो आपको अच्छा लगता है वो सबको अच्छा लगे. इसीलिए यहाँ ये वीडियो तो मैं आपके लिए बना रही हूँ, अपने लिए बना रही हूँ. इसलिए मैं आपको एक बार तो रिकमेंड करूँगी, गिव इट अ गो टू द सीक्रेट at least once, because many people, they get many positive results from it. And now the fourth suggestion that I'm going to give you is that always carry a book with you, either in physical or now अब तो mobile आ गया है, so you can read and like listen to books at any time. Like what I used to do, I used to keep a book beside me when I sleep. The very first reason that I love its smell, and the second reason is that like if I could not sleep, I can just turn on the lights and start reading. So always keep a book with you. And now the next suggestion, and that is very important suggestion that I'm going to give you, is that read a book with intention. Don't read a book like it just as a hobby. No, read as if that the book is going to add some value to your life. And मैं आपको सही बताऊँ तो जो करेक्ट प्रोसेस होता है किसी भी बुक को पढ़ने का, कि आपको उसको एटलीस्ट 3 बार पढ़नी चाहिए. ठीक है, वेरी फर्स्ट में तो क्या करना चाहिए, सिर्फ ऐसे ही देख लिया कि अच्छा चलो बुक में है क्या, just general. The second, you should do markings, and the third thing that you should do, you should make notes. Making notes is very important if you want to learn anything from anywhere, not just books, but even if you're watching any of the video on YouTube, you should make notes about it, either it's like educational or about health or anything. क्योंकि अगर आप ऐसे ही देख रहे हो तो आप 10 वीडियो देख लो YouTube का, कोई देखने का सेंस नहीं है अगर आप उसके नोट्स नहीं बनाते हो. तो अगर आपको कभी भी कुछ सीखना है तो आपको नोट्स तो बनाना ही चाहिए. तो आप बुक्स के भी नोट्स बनाइए, आप जो भी वीडियोस वगैरह अपने मोबाइल पे जो भी लाइक यू व्हेनेवर यू आर वाचिंग, you should always have a diary or copy or pen with you. Okay. And now the next suggestion that I'm going to give you is that always know your genre, like which is the genre that you like the most. Like for example, like I like philosophical fiction or thriller, because what happened when you know our favorite genre ना, तो जब आप starting में वो books पढ़ना शुरू करते हो तो आप उसे जल्दी कंप्लीट कर लेते हो। तो आप पहले वो बुक्स पढ़े जो आपको पसंद है, आपके जॉनरा की है, एंड देन फिर आप बाकी भी पढ़ सकते हैं। एटलीस्ट आपका इससे क्या होगा, आपका रीडिंग हैबिट जो है वो क्या होगा, डेवलप होगा। ठीक है। एंड नाउ माई नेक्स्ट सजेशन टू यू इज मल्टीपल बुक ऑप्शन। नाउ इसमें क्या है, देखिए, मतलब ऐसा ज़रूरी नहीं कि आपको रीडिंग हैबिट डेवलप करना है तो एक बार में एक ही बुक पढ़ेंगे। नहीं, आप क्या कर सकते हैं, आप एक बार में एक से ज़्यादा बुक भी पढ़ सकते हैं। क्योंकि अगर आप कभी एक ही बुक से बोर हो गए तो आपके पास ऑप्शंस जो है वो अवेलेबल होना चाहिए, 2-4 अलग अलग जॉनरा की बुक भी होना चाहिए। ठीक है, तो मल्टीपल बुक ऑप्शन जो है वो आप बिल्कुल अपना सकते हैं। Okay, and now moving on, the next and the last suggestion that I'm going to give you is avoid monotonous activities. For example, like don't read the book like whole day, because like there are many other activities that you can do. You can do swimming, you can do cycling, you can do dancing, you can do like playing guitar, anything जो भी आपको अच्छा लगता है. Because if you read the book like whole day, then maybe आप उससे बोर हो जाए, फिर आप उसे पढ़ना ही छोड़ दें. तो दिन भर सिर्फ किताबें ना पढ़ते रहें, आप कुछ और भी कीजिए. ठीक है. So these are like my few of the suggestions by which I think you can develop a reading habit. And now the question comes that padhe kya, what to read. So now what I'm going to do, first I'm going to recommend you top 3 of my list, and then I'll recommend you some other book also and we'll discuss about it. Okay, and now the number 1 book from my list is this one, that is Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. And this is the book, like I read it very recently and it just like blew my mind, because the book, it talks about the most difficult thing in the most easiest way, that is about like change, how to deal with changes. What the author has done, he has narrated this message through a story where there are 4 characters, Sniff, Scurry, and Ham and Haw. तो स्निफ जो होते हैं उनका क्या है कि ही ऑब्जर्व द चेंज वेरी क्विकली. स्केरी जो होते हैं उनका क्या है कि दे एक्सेप्ट एंड देन टेक एक्शंस अकॉर्डिंग टू द चेंज वेरी क्विकली. हैम इज समवन हु जस्ट रेजिस्ट इन फियर चेंज एंड ही डोंट डू एनीथिंग विद रिस्पेक्ट टू दैट चेंज. एंड द हॉ जो है वो चेंज के साथ, टाइम के साथ वो चेंज को एक्सेप्ट करते हैं और उनको लगता है कि हाँ, कहीं ना कहीं जो चेंजेस होते हैं वो भी हमें क्या कर सकते हैं, हेल्प कर सकते हैं. एंड हियर दिस चीज इज व्हाट, दिस चीज इज एक्चुअली मेटाफॉर for what you want in your life. I mean, whatever you want, a job, a relation, a trip in Europe, a big house, or even in single activity like cycling or dancing or painting. So whatever you want in life, that metaphor, that is your cheese. And this how the whole story revolve. I mean, this is really an eye-opener book, and I'm pretty much sure that when you will read it, it won't disappoint you. And you know, it's just like 80-90 pages, not much. Self-help book, like you can just read it at one sitting. So just make sure that you give it a go. Okay, and now the second book on my list is this one, Tuesday with Mora. It's my personal favorite by Mitch Albom, and this is a book that will give you more clarity towards your life. Basically, it's a philosophical fiction where the story is plotted between a teacher, More, and his student, Mitch, whom he met after 16 years, and many things has changed, but their relations, their feelings for each other has not changed. And I just love the character of More. I mean, like the teacher, the so chill and so intellectual, very much aware and always happy. So I love his character, and actually this book is recommended to me by my very good teacher. So it's a very nice book, very connecting, very emotional, and very worth to read. And I mean, it's such a book that you can carry with you always. So just read it. I think you will really gonna enjoy it. And now the third book on my list is this one, The Art of Racing in the Rain by Garth Stein. And it's a book that it's a fiction book, and actually the best part of this book is that it's dog narrated, where the dog Enzo, he narrates the story of his master through his own feelings and what he in his own words. Now most of the people might say that this is a book only for dog lovers, but no, it's like it's much more than that. It's a story which clearly portrays like about the emotional capabilities and about the humanity, and I think that is very much important. So the book is like very entertaining, very emotional, and very connecting, and I think you will really cherish it when you read it. I mean, it's a treat to yourself. So make sure you give it a go. And I have also written a complete review of this book, so and Tuesday with Moria as well. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to give the link in the description below. If you want, you can read the complete review over there. Alright, now these are all the 3 recommendations, my top recommendations. But now I'm going to recommend some few more books for you. And the next book that I'm going to recommend you is To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. And basically this is a book that talk about 2 things. The very first is that innocence that we all had in our childhood, but then it just lost in this bloody dirty world. And secondly, it mostly talk about racism, where a black man is accused of raping a white woman, and that's how the story revolved. And the plot of the story and the writing style by Harper Lee, I mean, it's really adorable. I mean, you know, this book, it get like published in somewhere around 1960, and after that it's been reprinted in many languages many a times. So it's a very nice book. I mean, it's a book that when you read it, it will be in your mind for the longest time. So yeah, give it a go. And yeah, I want to add on a point that most people think that reading fictions, it's not of like so much of use, or it doesn't add any value. So let me clear that maybe if people are saying that, might be that they are not readers, because fiction actually portrays much of the reality, and they are like much real, because what author do, they tell you all the real things by under a curtain of a fiction. Okay, so fictions are more real. Second thing is that fiction has the capability to shake you from inside that non-fiction might not do, and it will tell you like how to live your life. The way of living you can learn from fiction, and from other perspectives, if you see, you can learn many things from fiction book, like different culture, about different countries, their currencies, different places. So basically fiction books actually add more value as compared to like other books. And now the next book that I'm going to recommend you is Why Men Don't Listen and Women Can't Read the Maps by Ellen and Barbara. And it's not like that. Men do listen and women can read the maps. But this is just a book like to acknowledge that yes, men and women are actually different. And it's a book that I'm recommending you not just to know the opposite gender, but to know yourself much better. Many times we have seen that while these men, they don't like to ask for addresses to anyone when they're searching. So this book will give you that why answer to you. So it's a very nice book, very detailed, given with all the examples. So you should read it, I think, to know yourself much better. But yeah, make sure that just stay it away from the kids and the children, because it's just for adults. Okay, and now the next book that I'm going to recommend you is Rich Dad and Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And the book is like beautifully plotted, and the Robert Kiyosaki will just completely change your mindset towards money. It talk about 2 things. The one is that rich people, they money work for them, but for poor, they work for money. For example, like when you're doing a 9 to 5 job, you're working for someone else, you're making someone else richer. There will be a boss like will just stuck your mind like it all the times. You are working for anyone else, you are working for money there. But rich people, they are their own boss, and they take their own responsibilities. So this is the difference. And the second thing that this book will taught you is that it's completely fine, it's completely okay if you're talking about money and how to make money. Some people will say you, oh, he's always just talking about money, but that's completely fine, because I think there is no bad. Everybody wants a good lifestyle for themselves, for their family. So if you're talking about money, I think it's much appreciable thought, rather than to like demotivate you or say you that he is always talking about money. So you don't have to feel bad about it. This book will taught you that. Okay, so read this book to know actually the real worth of the money. Okay, now see, this is the book that is recommended to me by one of the senior. So most of the books, they are recommended to be my senior, by my teacher or my friends who are like-minded. So what I'm trying to say is that stay with the people who are like-minded, who have the same passion like you, and the person who like motivate you towards your goal, not the persons who are like dragging you and pulling you down. Just choose your company very wisely, because that's also like very important. And now the next 2 books that I'm going to recommend to you is in Hindi. And first of all, let me clear you that, you know, any language, it's just a medium to communicate. Why we give so much of importance to English? It's just because it is preferred like in most of the places. If the same goes with Hindi, तो हमें शायद इंग्लिश इतना सीखना ही नहीं पड़ता. सो द थिंग इज दैट लैंग्वेज जो है वो सिर्फ एक मीडियम है कम्युनिकेट करने का. समझ में आना चाहिए, आपको रीडिंग का हैबिट डेवलप करना है तो हिंदी में भी पढ़ सकते हैं. इसलिए द two books that I'm going to recommend, the very first is that Karmyog by Swami Vivekanand, and I don't think that I have to say anything about him. He has a different aura and very nice book, and just 150 pages, and mostly talk about like work and deed. So yeah, read it. It's a nice book, and I have the PDF of this book. If you want, just let me know in the comment section or drop me a mail. I'll send you. Okay. And now the next book that I'm going to recommend you is Godan by Premchand. एंड लाइक प्रेमचंद का भी सेम था कि उनका जो राइटिंग का स्टाइल है और जो इमोशनल कैपेबिलिटीज़ है, इट्स लाइक फार फार फेस्ट फ्रॉम टुडेज ऑथर्स, एंड हम लोग वहाँ पहुँच ही नहीं सकते. एंड वेरी सिंपल yet वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग एंड वेरी कनेक्टिंग. एंड गोदान इज लाइक वन ऑफ हिज फाइनेस्ट एंड ग्रेटेस्ट नॉवल ऑफ द हिंदी लिटरेचर. सो आप पढ़िए, आपको काफ़ी ही अच्छी लगेगी ये. और इसके बाद आई थिंक लाइक दिस इज ऑल माई रिकमेंडेशंस फ्रॉम टुडे. आई थिंक it's enough. Okay, I'm just recommend you 2-3 more books. You can also read 11 Minutes by Paulo Coelho. It's a fiction. Then you can read The Kite Runner by Khalid Hosseini. Very nice book, very twisting plots. I mean, I really don't remember that how many times I have like cried when I read this book for the first time. So very interesting book, give it a go. Then you can also read you can read the APJ Abdul Kalam's autobiography, Wings of Fire. Then you can read Little Prince. It's for both adult and kids. Very nice book. And you can also read some of the mythological books like Bhagavad Gita. So yeah, these are all my recommendations from. I just hope that this video is gonna help you to develop your reading habit. And if you like this video, I just want you to share it with your friends and family, because we as a society really want people to indulge in more of the intellectual activities like reading. And if you like my video, then don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my video. Share and let me know in the comment section that if you want to ask anything more about books, I would love to answer for that. And if you want more content like this, subscribe to my channel. I'll be there with the next video. Till then, bye bye, stay hydrated. Thank you.